I'm now joined by writer and broadcaster Esther Krakue from London. Esther, welcome back to the show. As expected, Meghan was at the closing ceremony of the Invictus Games. We saw her applauding her husband as he made his speech, posing with Sam Ryder and Rita Ora. She got a bit emotional during the volleyball final. She drank beer with Harry in the stands, and we have a clip of her hugging an American swimmer as she presented the gold medal. Here it is. Esther, she always seems to polarise. There were plenty of criticisms, but what did you make of her overall at the Invictus Games?
I think she's kind of sealed her brand as sort of the first lady of the Sussex brand. Clearly, she was very relaxed. She had amazing photo opportunities, and she really seemed to get in sort of in the spirit. She was drinking beer, she was hugging athletes, she was filming TikTok videos with fans. The German president was there, so she really sort of got stuck in. And it's a shame that she wasn't able to do this in the royal family, but this seems to be where she really shined. She kind of threw caution to the wind and didn't really follow any kind of official dress code or protocol. I remember one of the days where she did the walk around, she was in a sort of cream blazer and shorts, which you absolutely cannot wear as an active member of the royal family. But look, that's the kind of look she went for. She looked very relaxed. She looked very happy with Harry by her side. And I think it was really interesting to see them in this way, because it looks like this is where the rebrand is really taking off. One of the athletes that she hugged with the American flag, Danielle, she actually had a very moving story, and the publicity that they generated from being there actually highlighted stories like hers. So in the case of Danielle, she was gravely injured in Afghanistan in 2011, and her leg had to be amputated. And to go from there to being able to win a medal at these games, look, it's not the Olympic Games, but it does highlight an important social issue of veterans having to reintegrate into society after coming back from combat. And even though Prince Harry has fallen out with the royal family and has lost basically most of his patronages, I'm happy that he was able to continue this project, and Harry and Meghan was by his side. It's now a case of seeing where they go from here, what the brand Sussex is going to look like. Is it going to be a focus on social issues like this, which is quite relaxed and unproblematic, or is it going to be kind of more harking back to the past and making reference to Harry and his mental health struggles, the passing of his mum, his tension with the royal family? Only time will tell, but I think this is probably the most positive step in the right direction.
And I think you're right there. She did seem pretty relaxed, and she also seemed very popular with the crowds and taking a lot of selfies. It's interesting when she's at different places what the reaction is, and obviously what the media has to say about it.
Absolutely. I mean, she was obviously in Germany, and the Germans are actually very fond of the royal family in Britain, funnily enough, maybe because the royal family does have a lot of German blood. But they're also very fair. If the Sussexes went to Germany and acted like, kings and queens and really kind of highbrow, high maintenance, and they tried to make it all about them, I highly doubt the German audience would have had much patience for them. So I think it was also quite a strategic win as well, because, they seem very down to earth. Meghan didn't go with any sort of makeup team or anything like that, a glamour squad, as you would expect from the likes of any sort of American celebrity. She did her hair and makeup herself. She chose her own outfits. She was very, calm and relaxed. And I think there was a focus on trying to make it about the athletes and about the story of the athletes, as opposed to Harry and Meghan, who were basically there to drum up publicity.
Now, back in the UK, we saw this week Princess Kate had a couple of bandaged fingers. It turns out she hurt herself in a way that I'm pretty sure quite a few people could relate to.
Yeah, yes. She is still a mother first, and she actually hurt herself trampolining with her 3 children, which is both funny and unfortunate. But it was nice to see her, still working. I mean, it's obviously a very minor injury, but she's not taking any time off. She was in actually a prison in Surrey to highlight a charity that helps, convicted criminals try and move past the cycle of crime and addiction and try and get their lives back on track. So, her presence there was very important in highlighting the good work of this charity, and I'm glad to see that something like that wouldn't have held her back.
Now, I get a bit of a bee in my bonnet when people criticise the way that other people dress. I find that incredibly annoying. I roll my eyes when it happens to Meghan, but it's also pretty pointless for me when the media criticise Kate about her hair. Now, this is what Amanda Platel wrote about her in the Daily Mail. We adore the Princess of Wales, but hasn't Kate's new mermaid hairstyle of ever so long cascading curls gone a bit far? The last thing we want our Queen of Style to be is half woman, half hairdo. Now, Esther, as a person with quite a lot of hair myself, why do they bother?
I don't know. She looks like a princess with long princessy curls, and I think she's playing the role. Her hairstyle, I think it suits her. You have to remember, Princess Kate is 5'10". She has a model-esque frame. She has a very slender face. I love curtain fringes. Personally, I think they frame her face quite nicely. I think, as a mature woman, I think it's a very nice way to keep her look youthful. But I think that the overarching point is why would her hairstyle bother anyone? She's out there doing good work. She's a great ambassador for the UK. I think it's a bit ridiculous to criticise her hair, and as someone who likes to change up my hair a lot, I don't take kindly to that at all.
Fair enough. Now, we know Queen Camilla plays a big part in running the family, and apparently that extends to royal visits. There's a report this week in The Telegraph by Camilla Tomney that the first tours are to France and Germany because apparently Queen Camilla doesn't like flying too much. Is that right?
So that's apparently what we've heard, and it would make sense given the couple, Queen Camilla and King Charles's age, and how much planning actually goes to any sort of, state visit, for instance. And it's also a kind of a way, I think, diplomatically to show the importance of our relationship with France and Germany. I suspect they're probably leaving longer haul flights and trips to later in the year when the weather is more favourable or when there's a more opportune time. We're obviously waiting for King Charles to make his visit to Australia, which will probably be his most significant long haul trip of his reign. But it does make sense. I mean, Queen Camilla has always been, King Charles's rock in many ways. I don't know if you remember that incident where he was signing a document, I believe it was last year, and the fountain pen kept leaking, and he was so frustrated, and she was by his side trying to calm him down. Now, to most people, he just looked like a grumpy old man that was having a bit of a whinge about a leaky pen. But it just, the dynamic between them just was highlighted in that moment because she seemed to calm him down. She seemed to be like, oh, it's fine, it will all be okay. And their partnership has really been strengthened over the last few decades, and it's really interesting to see, and it's very nice to see as well. They both lean on each other. I suspect them choosing to go to France and Germany first is not just because of the distance, but also maybe because King Charles is not favouring the idea of travelling very far, or for some other diplomatic reason. But it does make sense that would be their first choice.
Now, it's been quite a few weeks that the royal family have been taking their summer vacation, but they're back at it with Charles and Camilla doing a number of royal engagements, including to celebrate Rosh Hashanah. Here's this clip is fabulous. He's got a lot of Italian wedding vibes for me, Esther, but he's also down at the races in Doncaster. William and Kate were helping build dens in the woods with kids in Hereford. And William also got out and about in London to visit some building sites, learning about suicide rates in the construction industry. They're back with a bang.
Yes, definitely. I mean, one of the things that people don't realise is how many engagements the royal family, well, members of the royal family have every single year. I mean, they have sort of hundreds of royal engagements where they champion different causes and are the faces of various charities and organisations. So I'm not surprised that they've got stuck in, with Prince William obviously highlighting the issue of mental health and suicide rates in the construction industry, which is actually 3 times the national rate. According to statistics, it's actually averaging up to about 2 a day. So I'm really happy happy that he's highlighting that as well, because we know suicide, but particularly male suicide in this country is a huge problem. And we also have, him and Catherine building sheds in the woods in a school in Hereford. The King and Queen were at a fun shindig to celebrate Rosh Hashanah. These are the kinds of things that it's not just community building, but it also shows the value of the royal family in highlighting various issues, but also bringing communities together. And in many ways, you'd struggle to find better ambassadors. Even the most polished politicians have their own gaffe moments, and it's really nice to see that the royal family just gets stuck in. And I suspect that's what's going to be the trend over the next few years. I would like to think that sort of, insofar as the Sussexes have decided to put the whole drama with the royal family behind them, that the royal family is not going to make any mention of them or do anything that will stir the pot. They will just keep their heads down and keep on keeping on for the duration of King Charles's reign, however long or short it may be.
Now, lastly, just before we go, we understand that William and Kate have hired their own personal CEO. What's the background to this story? Why do you think they've taken this step?
I think this is one of those steps that they've taken to try and modernise the royal family, or at least their role within the royal family. At the moment, they rely on their personal secretaries to kind of to arrange their schedules and to deal with any sort of forthcoming engagements. But actually having a CEO, it really kind of almost Americanizes the brand, and it makes it run like a well-oiled machine. And we know that King Charles has had a mind to slim down the monarchy significantly since he became king. And I think that by understanding the need for some sort of modernization, them getting a CEO is just one step in that direction. The reality is that the brand is going to grow and evolve as time goes on, as Prince William becomes closer and closer to being future king, or to being king. And it's important for them to take the step. I found it interesting that her job description was someone without a big ego, which should be interesting. I can imagine you can get quite a big ego if you say you work for the Prince and Princess of Wales.
I do like that. Bring everyone back to earth, set the expectations early. Esther Krakue, as always, thank you so much for joining us.